What happens when justice takes decades to arrive, and 3 men face death in the same month? One of them is already gone. Another has just weeks left. And the third, well, his story is one of the most chilling murder sprees in Florida history. But here's the real twist. One of these men may have suffered a death more painful than the crimes he was punished for. And the others, their cases raise deeper questions about time, guilt, and whether the death penalty truly delivers justice or just closure. This is the story of Byron Black, Kayle Barrington Bates, and Curtis Windom, 3 death row inmates marked for execution in August 2025. Here's what really happened in their final days. Welcome back to Death Row Diaries, where we dive deep into the darkest corners of the justice system. Real stories, real criminals, and the final countdown to execution. If you want more inside looks at the world of death row, hit that subscribe button and stick around to the end, because what we're about to reveal is unlike anything you've heard before. On August 6, 2025, the state of Tennessee carried out its first execution of the year. The man was Byron Black, a 69-year-old inmate convicted for the cold-blooded murder of his girlfriend and her 2 daughters in 1988. But his execution made headlines for a very different reason. He had a defibrillator implanted in his chest. Now, that device is meant to save lives, to restart a failing heart. But what happens when the very thing designed to protect you kicks in during your death? That's what Byron's lawyers feared. They argued that the lethal injection, paired with a functioning defibrillator, could trigger shock after shock, making his death excruciatingly painful. The 8th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution bans cruel and unusual punishment. Was that exactly that? They begged the courts to disable the device first. They appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. They even turned to Tennessee's Governor Bill Lee for clemency. No one intervened. At exactly 10:43 a.m., Byron Black was pronounced dead. But what happened in the room that morning still haunts those who witnessed it. Reporters from the Associated Press said Byron was breathing heavily, looking around in visible distress. A spiritual advisor stood by his side. Then came the chilling words. "Oh, it's hurting so bad," Byron groaned. "I'm so sorry. Just listen to my voice." It's rare for witnesses to hear death row inmates cry out in pain. It's even rarer for the pain to be possibly caused by a machine implanted to keep them alive. Byron Black is gone, but the debate over how he died is just beginning. Just as one man took his last breath, another waits for the needle. Kayle Barrington Bates, 67 years old, is scheduled to die on August 19, 2025, a full 42 years after his victim was murdered. Her name was Janet White, an insurance office employee in Bay County, Florida. On June 14, 1982, she stepped out for lunch. She never made it home. Bates had broken into her office while she was gone. When Janet returned, she screamed, a sound neighbors said they would never forget. Bates dragged her to the woods. There, he beat her, strangled her, and tried to assault her. 30 separate injuries covered her face and body. He left her there like she meant nothing. When police found him, he had Janet's blood on his clothes and her ring in his pocket. He was convicted in 1983 and sentenced to death. But like many on death row, Bates fought back through the courts. In 1995, he got a new sentencing hearing. still sentenced to death. In recent years, Bates tried one last move, claiming that a juror in his original trial might have had a family connection to the victim. But Florida's Supreme Court wasn't buying it. Bates's effort to interview one of his jurors is 40 years late, Justice John Curiel wrote. On June 30th, the U.S. Supreme Court refused to take up his appeal. 3 days later, Governor Ron DeSantis signed his death warrant. And unless something drastic happens, Kayle Barrington Bates will be the 10th person executed in Florida this year. Decades of delay, countless appeals, and now 30 days left. Unlike the other two, this case wasn't about a single victim. This one was a massacre. Curtis Windham wasn't a stranger to his first target. Johnny Lee owed him around $2,000, but on the morning of February 7, 1992, Windham learned that Lee had just won $100 at the dog track. Petty cash, but to Windham, it was enough to kill 4. He told a friend, Jack Luckett, "I'm going to kill him. You'll read about it." That same day, Windham bought a .38 caliber revolver from Walmart. The clerk said he was calm, almost too calm. Later that day, he spotted Lee talking to 2 women by the roadside. Windham pulled up, shot him twice in the back, and once more at close range. But he wasn't finished. Windham ran toward an apartment complex where his ex-girlfriend Valerie Davis lived with her mother Mary Lubin. He had a child with Valerie. They had a complicated past. He walked in and shot Valerie in the chest. No argument, no warning, just a bullet. Cassandra Hall, a friend who had just arrived, witnessed the entire thing. Windham walked out like it was nothing. Then came Kenneth Williams, a bystander who barely survived after Windham shot him at close range. Windham fled, hiding behind Brown's bar where several men tried to disarm him. But the nightmare wasn't over yet. Mary Lubin, the mother of the woman he'd just killed, was on her way home. She pulled up to a stop sign. Windham saw her. He walked up to her car and shot her twice. 3 people dead, 1 critically injured, all in a single afternoon. Witnesses said Windham looked abnormal and visibly disturbed. He was arrested, convicted on 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Now, his time is running out. 3 men, 3 executions, all in a single month. 1 died in pain, his body fighting the poison meant to stop his heart. 1 is just weeks from a needle he's fought for 40 decades. And 1 left behind a trail of chaos and bodies in a fit of rage. But here's the question. Does the death penalty bring justice or just finality? For the victims' families, maybe it's closure. For the inmates, maybe it's a long overdue reckoning. But for the rest of us, it forces us to ask, when is it truly too late for justice? And can a system that takes 30 or 40 years to carry out a sentence still claim to be just? If you made it this far, drop a comment. Who do you think deserved to die, and who might have deserved something else? And if you want more raw, real, and unfiltered looks inside America's death row, subscribe now, smash that like button, and share this video with someone who needs to hear these stories. This is Death Row Diaries, and we'll see you in the next one.